r/AskReddit created by routinereddit. People who have survived an attempted murder. What is your story? When I was a kid, probably around 2nd grade, our house got robbed and my mom and I came home while it was in progress. For whatever reason, she decided to go in and interrupt them. She grabbed her gun, didn't shoot, yelled at them to get the heck out of my house, and then we drove off in a hurry to the corner store to call the cops. This was before cell phones. Less than 2 weeks later, my mom and I are sitting in the living room on the couch, our backs to the front door. Someone drives by and fires about 6 or 8 shots into the front of our house. Thank God for a steel front door. The cops came and said they didn't think the 2 incidents were related. Why does it seem like all the cops in this thread refuse to investigate the alleged crimes? Like, do your freaking job, dude. But if you shoplift from a Walmart, they all of a sudden give a crap about the law. I delivered a pizza to a house just outside of the city. On the way back, I stopped to help a car that pulled over in front of me with their hazard lights on. I pulled up beside them and thought it was weird that nobody rolled down a window or made any kind of contact with me for around 15 seconds. The passenger then jumped out of his side of the car yelling that they needed help as he made his way toward my car. I thought something was weird about this. As I started to pull away, before he could get to my passenger door, he began shooting at me. I ducked my head after the first shot entered through the back window and embedded in my passenger seat headrest. Another shot entered through the rear window, while the other 3 only hit the outside metal parts of my car. He missed altogether with another shot. I remember being sure I was about to die as he fired more shots at me. I was very surprised that it wasn't panicky. It was just like, oh, I guess this is it. Turns out it was a plot to rob me. The pizza was ordered, and the guys were stationed down the road to intercept me. They knew who I was, and they knew that I would be able to recognize them, as I had delivered a few orders to them before. The guy wasn't wearing anything to cover his identity, which leads me to believe that he would have shot and killed me if he would have made it inside my car. By the next morning they had all been arrested. The shooter was found guilty of attempted murder and sentenced to 40 years in prison. He later appealed that sentencing because there was a word wrong in the jury instructions. He won the appeal and ended up being sentenced to 10 years and was released November of 2010 after 5 years. The remaining 5 years were to be served as parole/probation. He was arrested twice for parole/probation violation when he was only a couple months away from total freedom. I laughed. TL. Doctor, some people tried to murder me for pizza money. They shot. They missed. They got caught. They did time, but not enough, then did more. Why would anyone rob and murder a delivery person? Were you known for carrying large amounts of money? Not doubting your story, just the intelligence of the would-be robbers. Incidents like this are disturbingly common and are precisely why many companies have rules regarding how much cash the driver can carry. Anything over that must be dropped off at the store when they come to pick up the next round of deliveries. It's also pretty common for delivery places to refuse to deliver in neighborhoods known for high crime to avoid exactly this issue. Edit. I didn't know this was a thing until recently. I recently moved to an area that is near an above average crime part of town. I've jokingly said I live on the edge of the hood. I was talking to neighbors the day I moved in, and one of them said, "Oh, you'll like it here. Everybody delivers here." I thought that was weird to say, so I gave a weird look. I then had it explained to me that some places won't deliver if you go a few blocks south of here. People would get so freaking upset about it too when I worked at Pizza Hut. Sorry man, my life isn't worth your pizza. Most places offer a discount if you do pick up and live in one of those areas. We did a ridiculous 50% discount and they'd still be upset. My brother is a drug addict and he held my dad and I hostage saying he was going to kill us after he pulled out a gun. He fired it at the upper wall/ceiling at first to show us it was a real gun, and my mom was by the front door and able to run out. I wasn't 100% sure he noticed I was still inside, so I had run into the only room that locked, which was the bathroom, and hid behind the toilet. I eventually let him know my location by begging him to let us go and we wouldn't call the police. He said he'd drag me out by the hair and shoot me first if my dad didn't give him any money. Eventually, my dad had convinced him there was money in the basement that my mom had hidden, and I ran out the front door. It was a single level house. My mom was on the phone with the police from a neighbor's house. What was scariest is that we were in a pretty rural area that had turkey hunting in the woods behind us. I heard a shot from the woods and assumed it was my brother murdering my dad. I had lived in a lot of fear up until that point anyway, because my brother was generally violent and scary. Took me a long time to be healthy again. I'm kind of a small person, but I still managed to lose a ton of weight and still haven't been able to sleep well. It's been almost 13 years. My parents wouldn't let me tell the truth on the police report, so I didn't write anything out or sign anything. My brother wonders now why I can't look at him, or why he couldn't hug me on my wedding day. I don't understand why you weren't allowed to tell the truth to the police. Stupid, enabling parents. Did anything happen to your brother after that? Is he on meds? He's been in and out of jail for other things, but for this, he had a charge that was similar to disturbing the peace for firing the gun. He's not on meds, but he was for quite some time. My mom attempted to murder me and my sister when we were younger. She was going through a psychotic episode and pretty suicidal, and I said the wrong thing that set her off. She chased us down to the basement with a knife. We ran into my room and my sister hid in the closet while I tried to fight my mom off at the door. She was trying to push it open while I was trying to push it closed. It was a back and forth struggle until she put her hand in the door. I think she was trying to engage my non-violence because she thought I wouldn't shut the door on her hand, but I slammed the door over and over again until her fingers broke. Meanwhile, my dad, who was in the house, finally came downstairs to check in what was happening. Mind you, this all happened very fast and my dad has a habit of zoning out when my mom gets in her episodes. He ended up pulling her off of the door and my sister and I ran out of the house and jumped in our van. He drove around the corner and turned off the lights and we all ducked down in our seats to hide and stayed there until my dad saw her drive our other car off. Please tell me this had consequences for your mother. I truly wish it did. She never told anyone about the attempted murder, and afterward it became something that she said she couldn't remember and blacked out during. I never told my other siblings. They were older and out of the house already, and the sister who hid in the closet and I only rarely discuss it. My sister was able to largely avoid psychological trauma due to not seeing most of it, but obviously since I was face to face with it, I'm a little messed up. I'm so sorry to read this. Do you still have contact? Is it possible for you to get away from her? At least a bit. I tried repeatedly to go no contact growing up and had lots of issues. Pressure from outside family, her being insane and manipulative, and showing up outside of my dad's house, and popping up in the windows to trap me, etc. But I moved across the country about 2 years ago, and was finally able to go completely no contact about 4 months ago. The distance helps tremendously. Oh, brilliant. I'm glad. I really hope your life turns around for the better. You truly deserve it. Thank you. I truly appreciate that heart. My parents moved to Mozambique during the mid-90s. I was around 8 at the time and started going to school there, a nice private one. Can't complain. My father was working for the Red Cross in Chimoio, so we had a comfortable life. One day, before arriving to school with a friend of mine, some sketchy guy stopped us, offered a whole bunch of money to just take some small box to a white van that was parked at the end of the street, not even 100 meters away. My lucky day, I guessed. It actually was, but for different reasons. When I was going to go grab the box, my friend grabbed me by the shirt, pushed me, and started running, screaming, something I didn't understand in Shona, the local dialect. That moment was when it clicked. The moment I looked back, the guy had already vanished. So, wherever you are, thank you, Chewed. I will never forget you. Dang, was he trying to kidnap you? Organ traffic. Trust me, this crap is real. I spent 10 years of my life in Nigeria. Actually, I was born there. It ain't uncommon to see corpses on the floor, missing some vital organ. Sometimes head, private parts, fingers, and toes. It's really scary. I worked with Nigerians on ships for a while, and I really am curious how common dick magic is. It seemed everyone had a tale of how they or a friend of a friend witnessed someone having their dick stolen by black magic. The story was generally a variation of someone gets touched on the shoulder in public by someone who via black magic steals their dick, but they catch the dick thief and demand return of the dick. They then demand a woman with whom to test that the returned dick is the correct one and still fully functional. Is this common folklore, or was I just duped for being one of the few foreigners about?